Welcome to Looking Forward. Looking Forward show is back again, and I am excited today, July 13th, 2021, and we have a great show for you today. And today's broadcast is brought to you by the Looking Forward show and our three interns that are going to have prepared the show and gotten us all ready. Savannah Lopez, Brianna Fraden, and Samara Riceboard. Thank you for getting us off the ground today, and we have some awesome guests. We'll be starting off today with Lou Narvaez, the Eastern Regional Director of Parole Field Services for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, and we also have one of a good friend of the shows from Mural Arts, Koresh Totley, who'll be talking about juvenile justice, and that's the theme today. We're talking juvenile justice, and before we get there and before we jump into our show, I wanted to talk about some things that are hot on my radar screen over the last few weeks. The first thing I want to talk about is the Philadelphia Reentry Partnership, City of Philadelphia, the Reentry Payment Program. So I've mentioned on prior shows over the last month that COVID-19 has, as we all know, has caused havoc inside and outside of our prison walls. And the City of Philadelphia has a program where $500 is being given to anyone that has spent one day in our Philadelphia jail system. So if you're looking for this relief, it's really simple. There are very few documents that are needed. Simply just some form of identification. When you were just coming within that time frame of being in prison in Philadelphia within the last year, and a place that we can actually send the money to. Either it's a bank account. We also recently received some debit cards that we'll be able to hand out as well. The process is so simple. If you contact Looking Forward, the Looking Forward Reentry Program, or the City of Philadelphia, the Reentry Office of Reentry Partnerships. Those offices will be able to file the application for you. It's simple. It can be done online. It can be done by phone, and your money will be directly deposited for you. So it's a great program, and they've extended it. So I'm looking forward to helping some more people. I know that we've been doing it through Looking Forward program, the reentry program, for the last few months, and given out thousands and thousands of dollars to men and women that have been in our prison system. So I wanted to bring that up. Second, I just wanted to make mention of a few other things. One is that, the clean slate law has been in Pennsylvania for a little while, and clean slate is a law where your old record, things that are very outdated, can actually be wiped automatically or with a petition from your record. So if you're not sure about the clean slate law and what the effects that it can do, it's tremendous, because people that have very long records or things that are really from years and years ago that are just a tarnish or a stain on your record, if you contact Community Legal Services, they can help you navigate the clean slate relief. And it's really simple. It's generally done automatically, but they want to make sure that you have an opportunity to pull everything off. So the Looking Forward program is broadcast on Philly Cam. It's Philly Cam. It's broadcast on WPPM 106.5 radio, and that'll be aired tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But live, it's on Philly Cam TV. It's streaming. It's also an Xfinity 66 and 966 on Vios TV. 29 and 30 on Roku, Apple TV, and on Facebook Live. So we're out there, and we're really excited about moving forward. So the show today is all about juvenile justice, and there's so much to talk about when we talk about juvenile justice in Philadelphia, because so much is happening with our young people, especially during COVID-19, and the challenges that young people are facing in the system. We're fortunate enough to have the Mural Arts program that really works with young people as they navigate their challenges coming home. And they're going to be on today, and Koresh Totley is going to be telling us a lot about their program. As most people know that watch the show or listen to the show, we usually start off with Lou Narvaez, who jumps in. And you know what? I see Lou is just entering the studio now. Lou was actually caught up in some traffic with the president is in town today, giving a speech in town. But I want to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and Lou Narvaez is going to lead us off today with a little bit of what's going on in Philadelphia. So this is Looking Forward show, and we'll be right back. We are back at the Looking Forward Show, and we have our good friend Lou Narvaez with us. Lou, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So,
How are you?
first, I want to know, how bad was it getting into the studio today?
I think I could have walked from my office, one of my offices in North Philadelphia, and got here on time, opposed to driving.
I bet. I bet. So, Lou Narvaez is Eastern Regional Director of Parole Field Services for US, Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, and a good friend of the show. He's been on our show since the day we started. You've been on almost religiously. I know that we've had some other people from your office that have come on over the last month or two, and
Yes.
we so appreciate you being on today. But first, I always check in and see how are you.
Well, I'm great, and I thank you for having me on the show. It's always my pleasure. Really, I have to give kudos to you, Jeff, because the program is used as an educational piece for us in parole. And it also reaches an audience that doesn't have a voice, that needs a voice. And you become not only their voice, but their ear as well, because your audience that listens are able to receive the information and give it to other people in the community. So kudos to you, Jeff, and thank you for having us.
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So we're going to be talking about some fun things today, a little bit different than we usually do. But before we go there, I want to find out. You and I had an opportunity last week to participate in. It was about a week and a half ago in the call-in,
Yes.
and I get so invigorated by it because it's such an amazing program. Can you explain to our viewers what the call-in's about?
Sure. The call-in is where we take those individuals who are on parole with the most serious offenses, and we work in conjunction with the United States Attorney General Eastern Part and other law enforcement entities within Philadelphia, where we bring these individuals collectively, these parolees, into a room. And the law enforcement piece is centered on these are the consequences that will occur if an event you commit another crime while on parole, because their cases will be absorbed by the United States Attorney General and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But that being said, the law enforcement representatives also make them aware that they don't want to have to do this. What their desire is to see them succeed. And then we'll bring in other individuals who are such as yourself, Jeff, you attended, who are service providers, who are letting them know that there are resources that we will attempt to connect them with. Prior to that, we have an individual who's been with the program since the onset in 2013 who lost her son to gun violence. And she's a speaker that speaks, and you can see that she resonates with that population. She's very down to earth, and she's a mother that lost a child, which is a bad place for anyone to be. And she's very passionate about trying to help these individuals redirect themselves. So what happens after that is we have a follow-up meeting as well. But part of the enhancement to the program was that we received a grant to include areas in West and Southwest Philadelphia, where they initially were in Northwest and the eastern part of Philadelphia. One of the differences also is that we had a heavily agent present in our fatigue and with their weapons and vests, not to intimidate, but to protect, because pre-COVID, during our last call-in, one of the individual parolees that was a participant left the area and was killed exiting his car. And this is systemic of what you're talking about today as far as the crime in Philadelphia. This also captures that we bring people from all across the cities, from various parts, because we supervise people in all parts of Philadelphia. And we have to take the precautionary steps to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I was there for the call in. Thanks, Lou. I was there for the
Yes.
call in, and it was really crazy. I thought that the president of the United States was actually visiting North Philadelphia because there was so much security in the area
Yes.
getting into the building, and I completely understand why. But it's if anyone is familiar with scared straight and that scared straight tactic that used to be used, well, this is on steroids because I am although I'm a returning citizen, I will tell you I get scared every time I go to this program because quite honestly, they just lay it out there and they're really honest about, what's going to happen to men and women that are there that, may make some bad choices in the future. And I will tell you, looking forward, it's been really successful in the work we're doing with that particular call-in program. We've had a number of men that have come to see us after the sessions and found work and found opportunities and gotten support with housing and some other things that they've needed. So it definitely is working. And thank you so much for that. It's just a great program.
And it is. And one of the things, and if I may, one of the things we've done in parole, I've mentioned before that we are making intense caseloads of people other than the call-in who are high risk. But we also have hired annuitants across the state. We have one assigned to my region who are more directed in social work. So now we have people that we identify you as a high risk, and now we're going to have a social work type individual work with you to help you individually to try to get the resources. So that's something new that we're all excited about.
Awesome. Good, great stuff. Great stuff. So anything else going on? How are we doing with COVID inside the walls? What's going
Well,
on?
right now we're maintaining. Right now we're maintaining. As you're aware, Secretary Wessel was very proactive in his executive leadership team to ensuring that not only the DOC staff, but the inmates in the institutions received the shots. They were involved in limiting, which I know was hard on the inmates, but it was for their own safety, limiting the number of people that could be in a cohort meeting at one time. Now they're simply trying to lax that, but it's, we're being guided by the science. And when you look at safety, it's not just safety of staff, it's the safety of the inmate as well. So they're doing very well in that regards.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, a few weeks ago, right after our last show, I think it was last Thursday and Friday, the Friday before that, they had the Department of Corrections, Pennsylvania Department of Corrections had a job fair all online. And they had everyone across the entire Commonwealth reaching out. It was done by region. So I sat in on a few, one from Lancaster County and one from Philadelphia County. And we had all of our resources there ready to help the men and women that are walking out the door, are going to be walking out the door. It was just a tremendous program. The feedback we got, not only from some of the participants that we've been in contact with since, but also some of our partners. We had, I think, about 25 partners that were on the call that were zoomed in, and we all got to share about our programs and what was going on. Kudos to the department for reaching out and trying to do something in a really challenging times when it comes to career development and career placement.
And that's consistent with their philosophy of custody and care. The paradigm shift has under Secretary Wessel. Yes, we know we have people in custody, but try to care for them by helping them to reacclimate in society, because the reentry begins the day a person hits the institution, not the day they leave.
Awesome. Good stuff. So I have some questions that our wonderful interns who put the show together today. So if the show's really bad, we have Savannah, Brianna, and Samara to thank for that. It's going to be great. Yeah. So, but they did throw some questions that they were curious about to you, and I want to lay them out there for you. And the first is, what do you find to be the most rewarding aspect of your job? And that's not one I've never given you.
Yeah, the most rewarding aspect of my job is when I can see a reentrant reunite with their family, see a reentrant become gainfully employed, see a reentrant who recognizes that there is a different way in achieving better outcomes than the ones they have used in the past. That's the most successful, when I see that type of thing happen.
Awesome. So they also wanted to know, what's the most challenging aspect of your job?
The most challenging aspect of my job is when I see people that don't have a voice, that can't articulate for themselves, and they're misinterpreted. And this doesn't go as far to intellect as it does to exposure. If you meet a reentrant whose lifestyle has been limited, and once again, one of my reoccurring discussions that I have, because the systems have failed them, whether it's education, housing, employment, and you see the person struggling to just to get on point, that's challenging to me. When you have a person, I remember talking to an individual once, well, why didn't you report? And something as simple as, I didn't have car fare. Or I couldn't come there because I'd have to cross a certain territory that if I go through, I could get killed. These are the challenges that you face in supervising, especially if your lens isn't focused on looking at the person as a human being.
Yeah, really important stuff. We don't think about those really basic challenges. We often think about, employment and getting people to work.
Right,
And one of the things that we face is it's not just getting them the job, it's how about getting to work? The bus
right.
passes to get there, transportation, or even work boots that we have to get for people often because they don't have the right clothing to wear for a job site.
Well, I'll take it even a step further than that, Jeff. And if you look at the employment rates and the educational levels of people in poor communities, how many people pre admissions into a state correctional facility held any type of job? So now you're not only getting a person a job, but you have to teach them how to interact on things we take granted, how to conduct yourself, what should you wear, what you shouldn't say, what you should not say, things that everybody takes for granted, which is not the rule of thumb for everybody in our population.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, and I want to steer it towards the juvenile justice issue because
Oh
that's really
yeah.
the theme of today. But do you see those challenges more with younger people today, or does it cross both young and old?
Well, here's the sad and one of the challenges I have. We have graduates from the juvenile justice system that work their way into our system. And that became more apparent to me when we did the homicide reviews as part of the Justice Reinvestment Initiative. You would look at the person history and their litany of juvenile offenses that have occurred, they were
Mm.
adjudicated on, they've graduated their way into the system. And the question becomes, who helps them? The juvenile system is also geared toward public safety and rehabilitation. And I'm going to date myself, and you may not even know this, Jeff. I watched a movie last week on I think it was the old channel. I call it the old channel. But in any word, it was Boys Town with Spencer Tracy and Mickey Rooney. A lot of people probably saying, well, who the heck is that? Although there were things that were missing, part of Boys Town in that movie, the theme was there was no such thing as a bad boy. However, today naturally would be no such thing as a bad person because you have girls and boys. But the thing that is based on the concept of helping the juveniles to succeed by giving them an opportunity, which goes into what happened with the juvenile lifers, which you're aware of. And then with the juvenile lifers, we have people that were sentenced as juveniles who spent 20, 30, 40 some years in the institution because they were convicted to life without no chance for parole. Then the decision was overturned. And the driver was that the court at that time looked at the science, and the science was the maturation of the brain. And
Mm.
an 18-year-old child's brain is not fully maturated. It would take a male at least a 25 to maturate. So the whole prefrontal cortex deals with your cognitive behavior, rationale, how you make decisions, your impulse. So if that's not developed, where's my intent established that I committed a crime where I'm aware of the consequence of my act? And that becomes part of that whole juvenile journey that we take.
Yeah, so that's a really big thing. That case was overturned a few years ago, and
Yes,
we've had some people come home, and one I'm very good friends with. He's been on our show before, Sam Pace,
yes,
who works for a great program, the Inside Out program, and Sam was convicted as a juvenile and
right,
convicted for life, and recently was released several years ago, and has done amazing things working with young people and
yes,
old people going through the system.
right.
Definitely one of the great decisions that was made by the courts in overturning some of that. So, yeah, a lot of the work. Are you seeing that the rise in violence, in particular in Philadelphia, we've seen this increase in gun violence. Are you seeing it more with the younger generation, or is it scaling across all ages?
It's scaling across all ages. And part of the other challenges, when you speak of challenges, what we see that our population is not only the perpetrators, but they're victims as well. So you have this dynamic where I'm either having someone shoot somebody or someone being shot that's on somebody's caseload. And then you get into that whole concept when you look at juvenile justice, you get into that concept of what trauma happened in this person's life early on when we get to the juvenile piece that put them on a path that they determine for themselves that violence was the answer to resolve issues that come across their table.
Yeah, I talk a lot about that. It's really not about the crime that was committed. It's about what led
Yes,
someone to do that crime, what in their background, what in their
absolutely.
history as they grew up, what drove them down that path. And that's one of the most important things for us to ask, and those questions to ask. Oprah Winfrey for years was asking in interviews she was doing behind the walls, people on death row, like, "Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it?" And she finally came out and said, "No, I got it all wrong. It's a wrong question. I need to be asking what in your life led you down that path. What's the history behind it?" And if
You
we
know,
can, yeah.
I have read some cases, and I can't go into specifics, where you look at the quote unquote bad act that the person did, and then we'll find out that this person may have been raped as a juvenile. This person's parents were dying from different illnesses, cancer. How did that juvenile come to terms with all of that, or was it just part of, well, they had to suck it up and move it on?
Hmm.
That's trauma that they experience, trauma unresolved, and they keep moving on. you know Kids that go to school every day but yet don't have anything to eat for breakfast. Now they have those breakfast programs, but still, then how do I feel sitting there and having people know that I'm eating breakfast? I don't have anything at home. you
Yeah,
know
tough issues, tough stuff. And, juvenile justice and our juvenile justice system seems to be growing in leaps and bounds now. And we have to put more attention there and see what we can do to help the young people.
and this is not a character assassination on the juvenile system, because they face what we face in
Hmm.
the adult system.
Yep.
The failures of society of the whole is dropped on our step as if we have a magic wand and say fix it and let make this go away. There has to be a collective effort of all involved to come to the table to look at how we can correct this problem. This can't be on one entity, juvenile justice system, adult parole, adult probation and parole. It has to be a collective movement. Otherwise, we'll continue to spin our wheels.
Awesome. So, Lou, it's great always to have you on the show. Lou Narvaez, Eastern Regional Director of Parole Field Services for Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. We value you as a friend of the show, and you call it straight when you come on, and we appreciate you. So, thank you much for being on today.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me. Stay safe and well, Jeff. I
Oh, you
appreciate you.
got it. So we're going to be right back and looking forwards, really excited about our next guest, Koresh Totli from the Mural Watch Project. We are back and looking forward. Jeff Abramowitz here, and I am here with our next guest, Koresh Totli from the Mural Arts Project. Koresh, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks you so much for being here. We're really excited about you being on the show and engaging Mural Arts. Koresh, I know that you've worked with as a program manager for the Art Education Department at Mural Arts, and you currently are in the Restorative Practices with Youth and Entrepreneurs program. We'll talk a little about that and your background, but give us a little bit. When did you get started with Mural Arts, and how did you get there?
Oh, that's a really interesting story. I got started with mural arts probably 2017 or 18. The pandemic has made me forget what year it is sometimes. So yeah, I got started. My wife is a graphic designer who did some of the branding for mural arts and told me about this amazing opportunity to work in the art education department with restorative practices. And it was really something that I have always wanted to do, but have never actually pursued a career in doing, for the thought of thinking that, I didn't graduate college. I don't have a lot of experience. I'm not as book smart as everybody else. So I kind of would help out and play the background a lot of time during things. But I went for it this time. And I think that Lisa Merch, our fearless director of art education, I think she really understood what my intentions were by the program manager for restorative practice, and she gave me a shot. And I thank her every day since then for that. Yeah.
Wow, pretty awesome story. So, did you grow up in Philadelphia? Just curious.
I grew up right outside of Philadelphia and Philadelphia. I've lived directly in South Philadelphia for 22 years now. Prior to that, I was in Baltimore, Meade, Pennsylvania. Everybody's hometown, County seat, Delaware County. I didn't really like it out there very much. It was very large racial divide in media. So yeah, Philadelphia
Awesome.
area, Philadelphia.
So I am just a huge mural arts fan. I'm friends with Jane Golden, the director of the program, Mural Arts, and we've done so many programs with them over the years. And I go through the city and I'm at awe. If you drive down just about any street in Philadelphia and you can see a mural arts, I was astonished at how many murals there are throughout the city.
Yeah,
There must be,
yeah. I think there's over 10,000.
I was going to say it's probably close to 10,000, if not more. And it just makes the city just alive. I mean, even going through some challenging neighborhoods in North Philadelphia. And I was driving down and had some guests from Chicago in town a few months ago. And we were driving down the street and saw a mural of a police officer in an area of North Philadelphia. And it was just so impactful, that some of the pictures and some of the work that's being done and the creativity. So tell me a little bit about what kind of work do you do with young people, and what's your program all about?
Sure. We could probably spend the rest of the time just talking about that. So restorative practices youth. We work. Wow, we work with youth using trauma based teaching, doing art with youth. A lot of the youth are in a detention center, on house arrest, home detention, transitioning out of the foster care system, accelerated high school for students who had their education cut short for various reasons, but still want to get their high school diploma instead of just getting their GED, which I applaud. And also a new program that we're working with the district attorney is the diversionary program, which I'm really excited about because that was something I was really interested in when I first started. And so we go to these sites. We have 6 teaching artists, and we go to these sites twice a week, and we have art with the students. And sometimes it's an elective that the students can say, I want to take this mural arts class, as opposed to taking accounting or getting a Serve Safe certified. So when they get out, they can work in the restaurant food industry. And we go in, and so it's really kind of hard to explain it because I do it.
That's often the hardest part.
Yeah, right. I'm like thinking in my head, this is very easy, right? No. We go in and we have a summer session, spring session, winter session, fall session. We typically have a visiting artist that will come and will work alongside with the teaching artist to develop a mural, which goes up in the city. All of them go up in Philadelphia. Sometimes it's not a mural. Sometimes it is a project that they work on. I don't know if you're familiar with Simone Salib. She's an amazing artist in person, and we worked with her at Yes Philly, and it wasn't a mural. All the students designed portraits of themselves and then had them hung up and down the hallways of Yes Philly. So it gave the students, it empowered them, it gave them confidence, and they also learned a great art skill that Simone teaches very well. Sometimes we have speakers come in. I'm sure if you're familiar with DeJuan Williams, you're probably familiar with Ricky Duncan from NOMO. He's come in and he's talked to our students. OG Law has come in and talked with our students. Will Little. And these are all people who were previously incarcerated as well. So it really makes a difference to the students when they have people like that come in and speak to them, because you're talking, unfortunately, on their level.
Yeah, so Will is a good friend, and he's been on the show a bunch of times. So he really is motivating, as are some of the other speakers that you bring in. So I know that art plays a special role in someone's life, and I remember I don't have a single talented bone in my body when it comes to art. At least I didn't think so. And while I was away, somebody introduced me, and they grabbed me and said, "Just sit down and try this. And it doesn't have to look good. Just try it." And I did. And what I found was that 3 hours would pass, and 3 hours in prison, 3 hours that could go fast, is an amazing kind of concept. But I really found that it really helped me focus and center, and had so many other benefits to it that I remain at home, still have an art easel, and paint when I get time. But I paint, and it takes you to a different place in your life where you can really focus on yourself and focus on that mental peace that is often so important. And it also gives you the sense of accomplishment. And maybe you could talk about this a little bit, but I noticed that, I know you're project based, and there's a lot of projects that go out, whether they're individual portraits or murals that go up. But I know that Mural Arts had a program in the subway system not long ago, during right before the pandemic. Were any of the youth programs involved in that project?
No, and that was at Suburban Station, the concourse. Color Me Back was the program. That's an amazing program. No, the youth were not involved in that. I think that was more focusing on the homeless population in Philadelphia, and giving them incentive by paying them to do art as well, which a lot of the people that participated in that really thrived, and I think have gone on to do a lot more art currently as well. But no, we didn't participate in Color Me Back.
No, it was really cool. Very cool program. But so young people that get involved in this project, just to see them when they're finished, what happens after they complete it? Is there some direction for them when they get done the program?
This is one of the conundrums and monkey wrenches in the system that we are actually working at right now. Is what is the pipeline when they do finish with the RPY program, when they get released from the juvenile detention or taken off of house detention, or do transfer out of foster care. We do offer a apprenticeship program, and both of them always mess me up. Brad Carney runs an apprenticeship program that's the biggest thing that we have to transfer now out of our program. The interesting thing, what I love a lot about my job is, like you said in the beginning, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. I can't do this. That is typically what happens when most students come into our first time, and all teaching artists can attest to that. I don't do art. That's not my thing. I'm not an artist. And the first question I ask them is, did you pick out those clothes you have on today? Well, yeah, I did. Well, that's art right there. That's some kind of style, some art. You like cooking? That's art. You like making music? That's art. So, I mean, everybody has art within them. It's just a thing of, is it painting or what have you. But my point with all of that is that watching the students go from, I'm not an artist and I can't do this, to, you said, class is over already? I'm not even done. Okay, I'll come back next week. And then next week they come back and they're just right at it. They just want to continue doing the art and refining the skill that they thought that they did not have.
That's pretty awesome. So in all the young men and women that you've worked with, is there anyone that stands out in your mind as like that ultimate success story, that somebody that's really went on to do some great things? I'm sure there are a lot of young people that have.
Yeah. I think the story that I tell probably pretty often is Najee Spencer. If you're familiar with the Amy Sherrill mural that's on 11th and Sampson, the big, tall Amy Sherrill mural that we did. Najee was in our class at Achieving Independence Center. She's since gone on. I'll get to that. She was in our class at Achieving Independence Center, and Najee, she's very, very, very smart, and was not so much into the art as much at first. It was her friend that was in there. She would come in and hang out in class and kind of do the art, but wasn't really into it. And then we did the Amy Sherald mural, and Najee got to go to Newark, and we visited Amy Sherald's studio with her and some other students and teaching artists and staff. And Amy had Najee dressing up in all of her vintage clothing and taking pictures in her beautiful, white, huge, 20-foot high ceiling studio in Newark. And you could see Najee like changing and being like, oh, this is something that I could be involved in, or that I can do. Because she would say, I can't do this. I'm not good. I don't want to do this, you know? Well, after that mural went up, and Najee saw herself, 8 stories high on the side of Samson Street, on the side of Target, I think it really emotionally changed her a lot. And she came back to AIC, I remember a few times, and she was almost like an assistant teaching artist in the classroom. She was all about art ed and mural arts classes in that classroom, and no more talk of, I'm not going to finish school or anything. She was just motivated. She thought, and she was correct, she could do anything in the world that she wanted. And that was the point the whole entire time, was to get her to realize you can do anything. You just have to do it, you know?
Awesome.
So that was a great story. I dumped it down a little bit.
No worries. It's a great story. Somebody wants to get involved in mural arts program, the juvenile justice program, the juvenile programs you have. How can they do it?
Well, so the RPY program is funded mainly by DHS, and we're at sites where it's not a sign up or registration that you can go. You literally need to be at the site, unfortunately, for RPY programs. Aside from entrepreneurs, it's not RPY. But there are other programs like foundations and innovations. What is Julia's program? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. We have other programs within the education department that if you emailed us at artedmuralarts.org, you can get information on how to join these other programs that are outside of the walls of the adjudicated youth programs.
Also, yeah, and you have an amazing website. If anyone hasn't been there, the photographs that I showed during the beginning are all pulled from your website, the Mural Arts website, which is just incredible and has all your programs listed there. So it's a great resource and place to go. Karisha, can you hang on for a little bit, because I want to take a break for a minute.
Sure.
And when I come back, I want to actually bring our interns in as well, because they prepared some questions for you, and we're going to see how smart you are when it comes to juvenile justice. So we'll be right back, and you're listening to Looking. Back, and welcome to the Looking Forward show. There they are. They're fixing their hair for us. So we have our 3 interns for this summer. They're from the ASH intern program. We're going to be interviewing them in the next segment that's coming up, but I wanted them present for this. So welcome to the show. We have Savannah Lopez, Brianna Fraden, and Samara Riceboard. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
There you go. So correction, all truth, they were the ones who came up with the theme for today's show, and they were the ones who had reached out to you and said, we found a great guest and we think he's worthy of coming on and sharing all his great work. So you have them to thank, but you also have them to thank for this next part. So I wanted them present for this, because they've prepared some true or false questions for us that I want to throw out there and have a little discussion with you about. So here we go, and here's the first one. And these are true and false, but just give me your gut reaction to it, and we'll talk about them. The first one is 30% of youth involved in the juvenile justice system have a diagnosed mental disorder. 30% of youth involved in the juvenile justice system have a diagnosed mental disorder. What do you think? Spot on, little high, little low?
I would say, unfortunately, I'm using that word a lot today. Unfortunately, I would say it might be a little bit low, but I would say that's true.
Ooh, so It is true, but it's also a lot higher. So it's actually, they have it down as false, but 65 to 70% of youth involved in the juvenile justice system have a diagnosed mental disorder. And that's tremendously high when you think about it. You know, we have so many young people in our system that we don't, we assume, sometimes that they're just bad, right? They're labeled, they're just bad. There's bad kids. They just don't get it. They just were raised bad or whatever it is. But there's also often an underlying diagnosed mental disorder. And I'm wondering, in the young people that you work with, do you often see some of those challenges when we talk about mental behavioral disorders?
Yeah, yes, quite often in most of the sites that we do serve, it does come up, which is why we have our teaching artists do a lot of trauma-informed care training, de-escalation techniques, restorative practices training, and things like that. Because when somebody does have an issue, such as a mental issue, where it's not visible directly on their face when they come in the room, you might not know until it's too late, without any kind of training to read for signals. And that can include people that are, as they say, on the spectrum. Sometimes it's hard to read. It's not written on somebody's face, and they don't come in a room and say that there is something like that that's going on with them. You could think they're just having a bad day.
Yeah, that's the hard thing with behavioral health issues and mental disorders. Oftentimes, you don't know, and we're not, we're all not professionals in the healthcare field that are able to diagnose and recognize that as well. I guess the more and more you do it as a profession, and you work with young people, you're able to kind of pick up those things so that you can guide them to services and support services that are out there. Totally get that. So here's another one for you. I kind of found interesting. And the boys are the fastest growing population entering the juvenile justice system. True or false?
The fastest growing.
Fastest.
I find that most of our sites are mainly male. Are they the fastest growing though? Sounds like a trick question. So I'm going to say
They're
false.
all smiling, so I don't know.
I'm going to say false.
It is false, and I think they might have given it away, but that's okay, because girls are the fastest growing population entering the juvenile justice system today, which is a remarkable fact because, quite frankly, we often assume that it's the young men that are getting themselves into trouble. But we see that also in our prison system as well as adults. One of the fastest growing populations across our country. We have 2.1 million people that are incarcerated today, and the fastest growing population across our country is our young women. Young women that are getting into the system and are facing those kinds of challenges. So tell me a little about what's the breakup of men and women inside of the mural arts program. I know I've seen quite an array of individuals, but can you talk about who you see more participating? You'd think it might be the other way around. But.
Yeah, I think in the RPY program, mainly the one site that we have, PJ, Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Service Center, obviously is male and female youth that are at that facility, and we do serve both of them. They're separated, and we do them on different days. But in the other sites like NET, Evening Reporting Center, AIC, we were at St. Gabe's. There were a majority all young males.
Wow.
AIC is Achieving Independence Center, which is the students that are transitioning out of foster care. And that center actually is, I think, more female, but they are not, educated at all. This is foster care that we're talking about. So that is an elective for them to even take that class there. It's not a mandate. But most of the mandated classes, they're mostly all male, aside from JJSC.
So here's something interesting. Children have a right to, true or false, children have a right to a trial by jury. True or false? Children have a right to trial by jury. Well, yes, I would say that is true. But they have to be represented. They can't represent themselves, obviously. Actually, according to our crack staff, They have found that children do not have a right to trial by jury. And as a lawyer for over 20 years, I could tell you that's kind of true. And it's kind of false, but it's kind of true in the sense that children do not generally have a right to a trial by jury unless
My jury.
yeah,
Sorry.
unless they are unless there's a wild exception where the court finds that
Yes.
they should be tried as an adult. But generally, children are not put in front of a trial by jury. That could be pretty devastating, kind of remarkable there. So I'm going to give you the last one. Researchers report around a 35% decrease in juvenile crimes during the summer. So we're in the heat of the summer now. True or false? Researchers report around a 35% decrease in juvenile crimes during the summer.
Oh, false.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just jumped right. And also, I apologize for that last question. The jury part totally slid right past me.
Sure. No worries. We're just having some fun here. But yeah, it's false. Actually, summertime is one of the places where there is a tremendous increase in crime during the summer, and that's one of the reasons why your programs are so important in the summer, because it gives young people an opportunity and chance to do some things that they may not ordinarily get to do. So thank you so much for those question and answers, and you've done well. You will win a car, and our 3 interns will be providing that to you later on. Right? Yeah. There you go. No, but thanks for jumping in, playing with us a little bit on that. I will want to thank you for being on the show today, and I can't say enough about the Mural Arts program in Philadelphia. Koresh Totally, thank you for all that you do. Can you give a shout out again? If we wanted to reach the Mural Arts program, how would we reach you?
Oh, sure. So if you wanted to reach the Mural Arts directly, you can email info@muralarts.org. There's also a phone number you can call, 215-685-0750, and that's the main office number, and they can direct you to any program or person that you're looking for there. And again, if you have youth, or if you are a youth and you're interested in something like entrepreneurs or any of our other amazing programs in the art ed department, you can email us at I messed that up. arted@muralarts.org.
There you go. Koresh Totally, thank you so much for being on the show today. You were a great guest, and we look forward to jumping in on the Mural Arts programs and certainly appreciating all the artwork that's being done around Philadelphia through the young people that are doing it, as well as the entire program at Mural Arts and Mural Arts family. So thank you so much, and give my regards to the Mural Arts family. They've been they're an amazing organization, and we're grateful to have you in our city. So thank you so much. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back with our interns from ASH. We'll be right back. We are back at the Looking Forward show, and I am so excited about the next segment. We're going to end up here today, but I have our 3 summer interns from the ASH program at Jev's Human Services. We're excited about having Savannah Lopez, Brianna Fraden, and Samara Riceboard with us. Hi, how are you guys?
Hello, how are
We're
you?
doing good.
Good. So so first you got to tell us a little bit about. I'll go to each of you, but why don't we start with an introduction and what school you go to? So anyone wants to start?
Okay, I'm Savannah Lopez, and I go to the University of Delaware, where I study psychology, and I'm minoring in disability studies.
I'm Brianna Fraden, and I attend the University of Michigan, and I'm currently studying cognitive science and minoring in community action and social change.
Hi, I'm Samara Riceboard. I go to Thomas Jefferson University. I'm a law and society major and a psychology minor.
Awesome. So it's great to have you. We've been working together for a little bit now, and I was really excited when I had the opportunity to say, "This is your show," and come up with a topic and come up with a guest. And you reached out and found a wonderful guest in Koresh and the Mural Arts program. So I was really excited to have him on the show. So thank you for that. So tell us a little bit. And again, I'm going to open this up to you, any of you, but tell us a little bit about the ASH program, the ASH intern program, and what it's all about. Anyone can jump in.
Well, first, thank you for letting us sort of take the lead on this show. I don't think any of us really expected that coming
Definitely
into
not.
the program. So this has been incredible. I did not think I was going to be a TV or radio star for sure. So this is definitely special. But for me, at least, when I thought about joining the ASH program, I've always been interested in the nonprofit realm as opposed to the for-profit space. I think from a few past experiences I've had, I see a lot more like internal drive, motivation, dedication to like the work that the individuals I've seen take on. And I was really excited to experience that firsthand myself, which I can attest to. I definitely have this summer so far. And I'm really looking forward, honestly, to everything that's going to come in the next few weeks before we finish up.
Awesome. So this is for one of the other two. Why don't you tell me, what's the ASH intern program about? Like, what is involved?
I guess I will take that. So every ASH intern is paired off to some type of program in JEBS. So we were lucky enough to get paired with Jeff. And so that's Tuesday through Friday. And on Mondays, we have programming with all of the interns. I think they're about 20, 15, yeah, around there. And so just yesterday, we got to speak with a Holocaust survivor, which was remarkable. I know a couple weeks ago, we had career support come and talk to us. So we got mock interviews and resume building. So it's been a really great experience. And we've had a lot of, it's just been a privilege to be able to do all these things and really build our careers for the future.
Awesome. So Samara, tell me a little bit, why justice and why juvenile justice? What led you? I know, is this an interest or passion, or just sounded like a cool thing to do over the summer?
Well, for me, it's definitely a passion. Since I am a law and society major, I've learned a lot about the criminal justice system in school, and it's made me want to go into something, to help people. And I think the nonprofit field is definitely something that I'm very interested in. And through this internship, I'm gaining a lot of knowledge about it.
Awesome. So you guys have been working on a bunch of different programs and different things through the Looking Forward program and with JEVS over the summer. What when you leave, when you get done this summer, what are you hoping to walk away with? What is it that you'd like to besides being television stars now?
For me, a lot of it is knowledge about like how to become a professional in the real world. And a lot of it is also networking. I think that's something that they prioritize in this program. They teach us how to network. They give us contacts to people who are important in the field we want to work with. And also learning about things from people who are professionals. Like I feel like I've learned so much already, and we are nowhere near done.
Awesome. So I'm going to throw this one to Savannah. So Savannah, this is not a unique experience for your family, and that's simply because I had the pleasure of having your sister. Ellie was an intern with us last year, correct?
Yes, that's correct. She loved it.
She loved it. Is that what pushed you in the right direction?
Well, I've had a personal connection with JEVS for so many years now. And so when I was looking for a summer internship, I couldn't think of anything better than to be working with JEVS. And this program specifically, the reentry and Looking Forward, I have a real interest in mental health. And like you were talking earlier with Lou, thinking more about the trauma of why somebody does something or the trauma of leading up to doing something rather than, why did you commit this specific crime is really interesting to me. And so this program sounded perfect. And I love talking to people and I love helping people. And so just this morning, Brianna and I got to be on a call with some other returning citizens, and just seeing the work that you guys do and talking to them and letting them tell you what they need was just awesome.
Yeah, so they were on a call today for the Looking Forward program. Looking Forward Philadelphia's a reentry program in the city, and we had a few people on, and our interns were on this morning, and they had a chance to really hear about some of the challenges that young men face and women face as they go through our justice systems. So I'm going to throw this out there, and then we're going to bring Koresh back in a minute, but I'm going to throw that. If you could do something to change the system today, to make it better, especially for young people, what would you say needs to happen? I'll just throw it out there to anybody.
So this is something that I honestly had hoped to sort of wrap my head around myself leaving the internship. I, similarly to both Samara and Savannah, have an interest in sort of the intersection of mental health, trauma, and then how that can potentially lead to violence or other criminal activity, and how one's upbringing can lead to different outcomes. And so I think the justice system and the carceral system, there needs to be training and understanding of why and what leads children and adults alike into the places that they end up, as opposed to simply punishment for the actions that were done. And it's a lot easier to say that than put that into reality. But I think having a combination of potentially like medical professionals, mental health professionals, law professionals, those in the criminal justice space, even like firsthand accounts of individuals or returning citizens, or those currently in the system, all coming together and sort of hashing that out, and what could be a best practice moving forward would be ideal. But again, what that looks like is harder to say.
Awesome. Yeah, really true. Anybody else want to chime in?
I can say something.
Sure.
For me, I think it's really important that our generation and the younger generations do something and get involved now. I think that we have a very, very strong voice, and we've started a lot of movements and so many important things. And we've already done so much for this country that if we start getting involved in politics and we start getting involved in mental health work and, bringing our opinions into politics and change and law, I think that could really help the system.
Absolutely. So I have to tell you, all honesty, you guys have been you've been amazing this summer. Looking forward to spending the rest of the summer, working on some projects and introducing you to some more people and really shaking it up. And you did a great job getting the show ready today. So thank you for all that. Koresh, I'm going to add you in here for a minute. I just want to, what do you think? Should we hire them, bring in the mural arts, all three of them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, the question that you asked, I was thinking of it myself, and you ladies pretty much hit the nail on the head with my response would have been as well. So yeah, you're on the road to riches.
Awesome. Yeah, they've been great. The Ash Intern program at Jeff's Human Services is an amazing program. It gives young college students an opportunity to experience different fields. And the three that are on today are three Ash Interns, all are in the criminal justice and juvenile justice space, trying to learn as much as they can this summer. And they've been a great asset, and they're working on some great projects this summer. So thank you for your hard work. This summer. It's been a pleasure having you. Koresh, I just, again, I want everybody to know we have about a minute and a half left, 2 minutes left. Mural arts, again, a huge fan. If people want to get hold of you and they want to get more information, one is go to Mural Arts website, because I just love looking at the pictures that are there that are tremendous. But if they want to reach out and they have maybe a family member or a young person in their family they want to get hold of, how can they reach you?
Sure. The art education department email is arted@muralarts.org. And it's a catch-all, and we will contact you back shortly. We're doing the PYM program this summer, and our next session starts September 13th.
Awesome. So looking forward, show. We are just a few closing announcements. First, I want a big thanks to Lou Narvaez, Eastern Regional Director of Parole Field Services. Koresh Totally, obviously, thank you for mural arts and restorative practices for youth programs. Savannah, Brianna, and Samara, you guys are rock stars. You're awesome. I'll make sure you get copies of this so you can share it with all your friends. And this is Looking Forward show. Reminder too that Looking Forward Philadelphia Reentry Program is by Jeff's Human Services is out there. If you need support and you're coming home, you can reach them at 484-533-7002. This is Looking Forward, another great show. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you up in a few weeks. Take care.